D flat minor, roll the chord to make it a D flat 7 sharp 9 chord, and then move the E natural to E flat, and then keep that going down, and we get to a C9 sus4 chord, and then C7 flat 9. So once again. The key to great sounding jazz piano is chords and chord progressions that make the listener's ear go, wait, what's that? It's a sound that's dissonant yet pleasing to the ear as the chords move from cool sound to even cooler sound. And that's what we're gonna do in this video. We're gonna take a look at the tune You Don't Know What Love Is, just the first couple of bars, and right off the bat, we're gonna learn an amazing jazz chord progression. It's a simple 1-6-2-5. We're adding tritone substitutions though to make it sound epic. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll understand not why it sounds great, but you'll also know how to do it. All right, let's start off by listening to the chord progression that we're gonna work on. So that's the whole progression. Let me play it a little bit further from the beginning again. Okay, so we started in F minor, and the last chord is going to be F minor. Let's take a look at the lead sheet and what it says. So you've got F minor 7 for a full bar, then D flat 9, then C7 flat 9. Those are actually very good suggestions. It's probably not the chords originally from this tune. Adding more dissonance is the key to great sounding progressions. Now, it can't be crazy dissonant because the ear just won't accept that. But moving from chord to chord, making things sound great, that's really the goal here. What I've done is I've written out the chord progression note for note in this piece of sheet music. And you can see it's just 2 bars. Now you might be saying to yourself, hey Paul, do you have more than 2 bars? Yes, but we're gonna leave the next 2 bars or the next 4 bars to another video. I think what happens with jazz piano players is they tackle too much at one time. Let's get one progression sounding great, and then we can take that same progression and move it to another tune. That's the whole point of being able to understand chords and the way they move. This is a very typical progression. It essentially is 1-6-2-5. And the reason why it's that is because take a look at this. If we're in F minor, this is 1. Then D would be 6. So 5 up from 1 in the key is the 6th note, that's D. So we've added a chord here called D7. And the reason why we're putting that chord in is simply because it's 6. 1-6-2-5 is a very common progression in jazz. So let's add some chords that make it sound more interesting, more beautiful. Then that 6th chord falls a half step to become the tritone substitution of 2-7. 2 in the key of F minor is G. The tritone substitution of G is D flat. Why? Because it's a tritone apart. That's actual G tritone. So go a tritone from G and you get D flat. So we're going to play D flat there. Then we're going to go to 5, which is C. And then back to 1 minor 7, which is F minor. Even though it's a simple progression, the goal, of course, is to make the chords as rich sounding as possible and move through those chords in such a way that makes the ear go, wow, that's simply amazing. I don't understand what you did, but I certainly like it. So the first chord, you'll notice right away that I don't even put the root in. It's a rootless voicing. So if I actually play the chord, it looks like an A flat major 9 chord. But if you put an F down in the bass, it becomes an F minor 9 and 11 chord. So here's the basic F minor chord. The chord tones are E flat and A flat, so a perfect fifth, so F minor, right? The 3rd and the 7th. So you add the 5th, which is this note, then you add the 11th, which is here, and then the 9th up here. So you get this cluster that just sounds amazing. You can roll the chord if you want to. The next thing I want to do is I want to roll that chord into a D7, into the 6th chord. Look at the bass line. I'm going to just run this little progression of minor seconds just to get that sound happening. Rather than just going straight to the chord, let's move into it with these passing notes, just by half steps. And then once the left hand is on the D7 chord, play this chord, which is a D7 sharp 9 sharp 5 chord. There's the sharp 9 up here, and the sharp 5 is here. So notice there's no 5th in this chord. If there was a 5th in it, it would be very dissonant. Listen to this. Too much. So as soon as you have a sharp 5, take out the 5th. And we've got D7 sharp 9 sharp 5. Let's play it again. What a great sound. Just that in of itself makes the listener go, this person knows what they're doing. And just before we go any further, I would like to encourage you, if you like this video, to give it a thumbs up. It really helps this video and the channel when you do that. And if you haven't yet subscribed to Jazzmentl here on YouTube, we have well over 400 advanced piano tutorials for pretty much everything from chords to soloing to understanding harmony. So I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and just hit the little bell when you do, and we'll notify you of the upcoming videos that we're making. We're doing 1 or 2 a week at the moment. The next thing we're going to do is tackle the tritone substitution of 2. So if we're in the key of F minor, 2 is G, and the tritone of G is D flat. They both contain the same tritone, which is these 2 notes. All right. So what we're going to do is play at first a D flat minor 7th over the D flat. So we've got this chord, but we're going to turn it into a dominant 7th chord by just rolling the left hand. So as soon as you roll the left hand, you get a D flat 7 sharp 9 chord, because now we're using the 3rd of the chord, this note here. And then the right hand is going to transform from a sharp 9 to a flat 9 here. So these 2 notes, E to E flat. And the reason we're going to do that is because when we get to the next chord, it's just going to keep going down in half steps. So you need those inner voices in order to make things sound great. The inner voices that I'm talking about are here. E to E flat to D flat. You've got those inner voices happening. Let me play that for you to show you what it sounds like. And that's really what great chord progressions are all about. Not just the chords themselves, but the inner voices that move in between those chords. So we're going to play, again, the D flat minor, roll the chord to make it a D flat 7 sharp 9 chord, and then move the E natural to E flat, and then keep that going down, and we get to a C9 sus4 chord, and then C7 flat 9. So once again. Now the left hand joins in the inner voices movement by going from F to E natural. Of course, I'm referring to this right here, F to E natural, these 2 notes here. And then eventually we get to our F minor chord, which is down here. So a perfect 5th in the bottom, and then a cluster in the top. So you've got your chord tones here, and then a G pushed up against them. I would encourage you, when you download this, and I'll put a link to it in a second, but when you download it, play it as is. Don't try to mess around with it now, because typically, if you try to change it from this point, you're basically saying, oh, I don't trust you enough, but I don't have enough knowledge to know whether it's any good or not. Learning jazz piano is following best practices, and then once you get good at those things, you can add and change things on top of that. Does that make sense? Let's hear the progression one more time, at the grand piano, and let's hear how that sounds. And again. I think that sounds great. I mean, that's progressions that I've been doing for many years. So it's important to follow along with this language, because if you want to sound great as a jazz piano player, you're going to have to learn how to move proper chord progressions. It's a simple 1-6-2-5, but we've used tritone substitutions in order to trick the ear into thinking, wow, what's that amazing sound? I don't understand it, but I know it sounds pleasing to my ears. All right, let me put a link to this sheet music up here in the corner. Yes, it's just a couple of bars, but it's good to download it and study that progression, play it over and over again until it becomes automatic. If you already are subscribed at jazzmentl.com, the sheet music will automatically download. Otherwise, it'll take you to a page where you just have to enter your email and then you can download the sheet music. I'm going to post a link to the next video in a moment. In that video, what we're going to talk about is how to take a simple line that moves through the key. In other words, in You Don't Know What Love Is, this is the melody. How do we make that sound great? Because a lot of people will just do this. How do we make it sound better? And I'm going to play that for you right now. As I mentioned, I'm going to post a link now to the next video, which is this one right here. This is the one you want to do. It goes through how to play block chords in a nice, interesting motion using Barry Harris's 6 diminished scale to make great sounding chords out of notes that move in the melody in the scale, like this.